about time to start. I'll kind of go over where I was when I got that coughing spasm. We were talking about placebos. We were talking about placebos being a chemical substance device that has no active ingredients, but it produces an effect because the person believes it's going to produce an effect. Now, I think I told you about the Andy Griffith Show and Miss Emma wanting her pills, and finally, after speaking to her uncle, Miss Ellie found out that Miss Emma was receiving placebos, and she was healthy as a horse as long as she got that placebo every day. As soon as she ran out of placebo and couldn't get any more, she started deteriorating really fast.
But that's like a mental thing.
Mm-hmm. You feel this way because you think you're supposed to feel this way. Okay. Now, I don't know if I finished my example about the woman on the ambulance, but I was probably right in the middle of coughing, and I don't know if you could hear it all. But what happened was, when I was in undergraduate school, I worked my way through college working on an ambulance. I was an EMT and EMT instructor. At that time, the EMTs, even though you may have been a paramedic, the laws didn't allow you to do much more than just the basic emergency help. Well, I'd been checking out my unit, and right in the middle of my checkout, we got a call, and we got called to this lady's house. She was having a heart attack. We got her into the ambulance, and after doing the vitals, I told her that she was going to, I was going to put a little tube under her nose, and that would give her oxygen and would help her to breathe better. Well, when I went to turn on the oxygen, the first tank didn't have any. So I said, don't worry, because her eyes started getting big. I said, don't worry, don't worry. I said, I've got another tank over here. I went to turn it on, and it had absolutely nothing in it. Well, I could see that she was already starting to increase her anxiety. So I told her, I said, well, now, this tank doesn't have the gauge that this tank has. And so I'm going to have to ask you to help me by telling me when you can feel the oxygen in your nose. And so I acted like I was turning the thing on, and I said, do you feel it yet? And she goes, no. I said, well, then you need some more. And I said, do you feel it now? And she goes, no. I said, well, then you need some more. And I said, do you feel it now? And she goes, I'm not sure, I think so. I said, no, you gotta feel it. So I acted like I increased it some more. And she goes, yes, I definitely feel it now. And I said, that's great. I said, very shortly, you're going to feel more relaxed. You're going to be able to take breaths a little bit better. Everything is going to feel better. She calmed right down. She was feeling better. Her breathing was a little bit more relaxed. Everything was going real well all the way to the hospital. Got to the hospital, took her into the exam room, put her on the gurney, and as we were coming out, I told the nurse, I said, she's been out of oxygen now for at least 6 minutes. I said, she probably needs some oxygen. And she goes, oh, we'll take care of it right now. She runs in, starts putting the oxygen on her, opens the oxygen up, and the last thing I heard was, no, that's too much oxygen. That other lady knew what she was doing. Absolutely no oxygen was coming through that tube in the ambulance, but she thought it was, and she thought it was going to cause her to relax, and she thought it was going to help her breathing. And so because she expected a reaction, she got it, okay? She expected a particular effect. And I had told her this is what was going to happen. She expected it, and that's exactly what she got. It is a chemical substance or device that has no active ingredients, but yet it produces an effect because the person believes it will produce that effect. Well, the strengths of an experiment. This is big. This is the only research method that gives us cause and effect. This is the only research method that establishes an cause and effect relationship. Pitfalls, a thing called confounding variables, can prevent valid conclusions. Something happens you weren't expecting. Something influences it that you weren't expecting. That can mess up your experiment. That can cause your experiment to have results and conclusions that might not be valid. Correlation, where it's important to remember experiments cause and effect, or reveal cause and effect. A correlation shows if there's a relationship. Two different things. The correlation will show if there's a relationship. It can show a relationship which can lead to an experiment to see if there's a cause and effect, but the correlation itself does not establish a relation. Does not establish cause and effect. Only a relationship. Well, we talk about a correlation range from a -1 to a +1. A +1 would be a perfect correlation. A -1 would be a perfect negative correlation. So a perfect negative correlation would be as you increase one, the other one would decrease equally. Okay? On a positive, the more you add this, the more this one will go up as well. Okay? So I'll show you in a second. If there's no correlation whatsoever, it's going to be marked as a 0.0. Positive correlations are going to go in the same direction on a scatter plot, and it'll go, a positive correlation will go from low left to high right. Okay? It'll have these little indicators, dots, X's, and those little indicators, the closer they are to a straight line, the more perfect of a correlation it is. So this one is much, much more of a positive correlation than that one over there, but that one over there is still a positive correlation. It's just not as true. This one in the middle, that's your 0 correlation. Kind of looks like somebody took a pepper shaker and just shook it on your paper. And this one, if you'll notice, it goes from high left to bottom right. Okay? Now, correlations can test predictions, help to evaluate theories, can actually suggest new hypotheses, but it cannot confirm a cause and effect relationship. I can't emphasize that enough. Just because two things are related does not mean they cause the other. Okay? Now, let me give you an example of a positive correlation. Let's say the more a person studies, let's just say studying. If a person studies, their grades will be higher. Okay? So, that's probably a pretty true correlation. So, you've got people who study, and their correlational graph will look like this. Their scatter plot will look like that. Okay? On the other hand, a negative correlation means that the more you add one thing, the more the other one is going to drop the other way. All right? This one, let's look over here on the second one over there. That's more of a true negative correlation. Let's say that we're going to see if the more you drink, what your driving skills are going to be. All right? The more you drink, the worse your driving skills are going to be. So your pattern is going to be like this, which means you're going to have a negative correlation. Because the more you do one thing, the more it's going to affect this one. Okay? I mean, it's more that you're going to see less of a relationship in the other. Okay? A zero correlation would be like, let's test and see if Rice Krispies has a correlation to good grades. Okay? There's no correlation to Rice Krispies, eating Rice Krispies and good grades. So that would be like this middle scatter plot, like somebody would just shake pepper on your scatter plot. Y'all are kind of looking at me like deer with staring into oncoming headlights. Is everybody following me? Is it just because it's early in the morning? Okay. Again, a perfect positive correlation, a perfect negative correlation. Here is a modest negative correlation, a modest positive correlation, and then over there on the far right, no correlation. Now, your book talks about measures of central tendency. You get this in math. The mean is the average of the scores. The mode is the most frequently occurring score. The median is the middle number. Okay? Now, if we were to total up this group right here, it comes to 27. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and a 27. The average would be 3.8, which means the mean would be 3.8. Okay? The mode is the most frequently occurring score. So I see a 2, another 2, so here the mode would be 2. Okay? Now, this is supposed to be a straight line. If you total up these numbers, it totals up to be 34. Now, the most frequently occurring number, well, here's 2 2s, but also 2 7s. So that's called bimodal. And it would be 2 and 7. If you had another 4 in there, it'd be 2, 4, and 7. It's the most frequently occurring scores. Now, when we're talking about the median, we're talking about the middle score, but here's where the students make their mistake. If you were to look at this row as it was presented on the former slide, you'd say, okay, well, here's the middle one, so let's see, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 7's the middle one, so 7 would be the median. It's not. You have to rearrange your numbers in sequential order. So you instead of this row, you have 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. And look at there, instead of 7, your median is going to be 3. Over here, instead of 2, 8, 4, 7, 2, 1, 3, it's 1, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 7, 7, 8. And so here, you can't just look and say, there's the middle. So what you do is you take your two middle numbers and you add them together and then you divide by 2. And that's your median. So your median there looks like it would be,
Wow.
no, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like 3 and 4 is 7. It looks like it'd be, was it 3.5? Because you add the two numbers and then divide by 2. So 3 and 4 are 7, divided by 2 would be 3.5. So your median is actually 3.5. A theory is an explanation for a phenomenon based on careful and precise observations. It simplifies, it explains. A hypothesis is a prediction about future behaviors. It comes from observations and theories. The theory comes first, then the hypothesis. Another way of putting it is it's a testable prediction. Testable prediction. So you have your theory, then the hypothesis, then your research, your observations, then your evaluation of the research data, and then the assessment, as an evaluation assessment, and then you decide, did it prove your theory? Did it reject your theory? If it rejected it, do you want to refine it? Do you want to regenerate it? Do you want to discard it? You have different options. In the next couple of minutes, we're going to do some housekeeping terms. They'll go by quick. Hindsight bias, I knew it all along. This is the tendency to believe, after learning the outcome, that you already knew the outcome beforehand. Okay? I knew the Razorbacks were going to lose. You know, I knew it. The tendency to believe, after learning the outcome, that one would have foreseen the outcome. This is the one that I kind of enjoy. The illusory correlation. A perceived relationship where none exists. They think that there's a relationship between two things where there isn't. I had a dear person that I was working with, and she came in one day, and she said, well, she said, I'm going to go ahead and tell you something that I haven't told very many people. And I said, okay, you know, and she said, well, before I do anything else, I got to tell you, I hate housework. Okay. And she said, of all the housework I hate doing the laundry the most. I said, well, I can't fault you for that. And she said, of all the laundry chores, I detest ironing more than anything else. And she said, I detest it so much that what I do is I make my family wear everything that has to be ironed, and it goes into a special hamper, and then when everything is dirty, then I'll take one section of time and wash it, dry it, and iron it, and they have to wear it all before I'll go back and I do any more ironing. Okay. So this is something I've done all my life. Now, I don't know why, but it never dawned on me, it might make it a little more enjoyable or a little less effort if I would iron in front of the TV. She goes, might break up the boredom. Okay, where are you going with this? One day I decided I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to iron while I'm doing, and I'm going to watch TV while I'm ironing. Okay. She said, I am ironing, you know, a shirt, watching TV, and all of a sudden, there comes a bulletin. We interrupt this regularly scheduled program. President Kennedy has been shot in Dallas, Texas. They say it is critical. We don't have any more news. And she goes, oh my goodness. A few minutes later, we have gotten word President Kennedy has died of his wound received in Dallas. Oh, that's horrible. She goes, I love that man. And she goes, I was devastated. Absolutely devastated. And she goes, I just, you know, it put me into a depression, and you know, all I can tell you is that it just absolutely rattled me. For whatever reason, I don't know why, I did not iron in front of the TV for 4 years.
Was she traumatized? Very traumatized?
I don't know. She just said she didn't even know, but she didn't try to iron in front of the TV until 4 years later. 5 years later. She said, okay, you know, I guess I'll try this again. So she sets up everything and she's ironing. The TV comes on. We interrupt this regularly scheduled program to announce that Dr. Martin Luther King has been shot and killed in Memphis, Tennessee. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is horrible. And she goes, I admired that man. What an incredible man. And they shot him down. And she goes, I was devastated. That was in April. She tried it one more time in June. She's ironing in front of the TV in June. TV comes on. We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to tell you that Robert Kennedy, who won the presidential nomination tonight, has been shot. It is critical. They don't have any more information, but they say it is extremely, extremely serious. Apparently he's been shot in the head. She goes, oh no. And she said, it just absolutely knocked the wind out of me. I was just shaken to the core. And she said, the next day, Kennedy died. And she said, I haven't ironed in front of the TV since that day because I'm scared that if I do, another political figure will be assassinated. There was nothing at all related to her ironing and those political assassinations, but in her mind, there was a perceived relationship where none existed.
A non-existent connection.
The what?
A non-existent.
Yeah, it did. There was no relationship.
No connection.
No relationship to that at all. And you know, this is where superstitions start. but a perceived relationship where none exist. Confirmation bias. This is committing to a hypothesis to the extent that if you receive contrary evidence, you'll reject it, ignore it, or throw it away because it invalidates or contradicts your hypothesis, what you believe. Now, taking it out of the realm of research and giving it maybe a different spin so that you might relate to it, I do a module on drug abuse. Contrary to what you have been taught, marijuana is not safe. Now, I was doing this module on marijuana, and I had a lady sitting right over there. And every time that I would give some kind of fact or statistic to validate what I was saying, she would sit there and shake her head. And pretty soon, as I'm lecturing, she'd go, then she started talking to the person next to her and said, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's just lying. She has no idea what she's saying. She's just giving us propaganda. And I'm letting her, and her voice is getting a little higher. And then, I dropped another bombshell on her, and she couldn't stand it any longer. And she stands up in class, turns and faces the class and says, I'm not going to listen to this. And she used another word for feces. And she said, I'm not going to listen to this feces anymore. I know the truth. And she gets up and walks out. Now, that's being committed to a belief or a hypothesis to the extent that you would reject or ignore evidence that can contradict or invalidate it. You do experiments and you get the same result from 4 of them, and the 5th one, completely off the charts. The researcher said, well, I must have done something wrong. I'll just throw that one out because these 4, validated what I thought. You can't do that. See, you cannot reject or ignore evidence that contradicts a hypothesis. Law of parsimony. A simple explanation is preferred over a complex one. Used to talk about the KISS method. Keep it simple, sweetie. I give a test question. It'll come up in about 2 chapters. Actually, it's a written assignment question, and it can actually be answered in a paragraph, maximum. I had this one student write 5 pages to explain what that quote meant, and she still didn't get it right. Students think a shotgun approach really, really works with instructors. Okay, if I don't know the answer, I'll just say everything I've ever heard about this subject, and maybe somehow I'll hit something about the answer and get extra points. I know for me, if I ask a question and it's a written answer, if you go ahead and give me the answer in 1 sentence, that's phenomenal. If you have to write a page, that's okay. I want you to get the right answer. But if you can be concise and give a simple explanation instead of a volume, it's very much more preferred. We're wrapping up this unit now. Critical thinking. Critical thinking is the process of assessing claims and making judgments on the basis of well-supported evidence. The process of assessing claims and making judgments on the basis of well-supported evidence. To critically think, let's see, there should be one. To critically think, you have to be skeptical. You have to be curious. You can't accept things on face value. You gotta want more information. Well, one of the things that, we started out this unit with me giving you an idea to think about steps in solving a problem. Let's talk about how to think critically. There are a couple of steps in that. First of all, ask questions. What is the statement being made? Who's making it, and by what authority? What's the statement being made? Who's making it, by what authority? Back many, many years ago, we used to have a director of health for the state of Arkansas, and one day she called a press conference and she said, Arkansas is in an emergency situation. We are in a critical situation. Arkansas is number 2 in teenage pregnancy rate. This is unacceptable. We have to think about the health of the children. We have to think about the expense it is on the state. We have to think about the toll it's taking in multiple areas. We cannot tolerate being second in the nation in teenage pregnancy. This is a critical situation. What was the statement being made?
Teenage pregnancy.
That's part of it, but that's not the statement. The sooner that we solve this, the sooner y'all are going to get out, because I'm going to wrap up when we finish this unit. What's the statement that was made?
High grade.
To what?
The high grade teenage pregnancy.
All right, you're getting there. You're right. Like you're heading down to first base.
Arkansas's number 2 in teenage pregnancy. Arkansas's number 2 in teenage pregnancy.
You're closer than she is, and you're almost there. There's a statement that goes before that. We are in a, what?
Is it critical?
Yeah, a crisis. Crisis, critical time. Who made the statement? Go ahead. Okay, you just answered both 2 and 3 there. Who was making it? The Director of Health. By what authority? The state of Arkansas. So we've got a statement. We are in a crisis situation because we're number 2 in teenage pregnancy. The Director of Health has the authority by the state of Arkansas to make such a statement and to declare it is an emergency. So, using that formula, we're good on step 1. Now, before I go to step 2, I got to tell you that there are 2 statistics when we're talking about pregnancies. There's what's called the pregnancy rate, and that gives you the number of girls between 13 and 20, married and unmarried, that become pregnant. Okay? It is a number. There's a thing called the birth rate. And the birth rate is how many of those that became pregnant are able to bring it all the way to term and birth a live baby. Okay? The birth rate is a measure of how many of those girls that got pregnant carried it to term and had a live baby. So they divide it into sections, and they've got live births, miscarriages, stillbirths, abortions, and I don't know if there might be another category, but those are the main ones. Now, so you've got birth rate and you've got pregnancy rate. Second question, is the statement based on scientific observations or data? When asked, where did you get that information? She said, the Center of Disease Control. Now, Center of Disease Control is a clearinghouse of health statistics in addition to managing, focusing, working with communicable diseases. So if they are a clearinghouse of health data, is this statement being based on scientific observations or data? Yes. We're good now. Here we are. Arkansas is in a critical condition because we're number 2 in teenage pregnancy. This is what the Director of Health announced by the authority of the state of Arkansas. The information came from the CDC. So we're good. We're up to, we're past step 1 and step 2. Step 3, what do the statistics reveal? When asked, where did you get those statistics? And she said the CDC, several groups wrote the CDC and asked for the same information. The statistics revealed she was using the birth rate and not the pregnancy rate. The birth rate had us at number 2, which means of those girls who got pregnant, we were second in the nation of giving live births. The pregnancy rate was down around number 26. So there were quite a few states that were, the teenagers were getting pregnant a lot more than Arkansas. So she was using the wrong statistics. Now, is there a plausible explanation then for the statement or claim? Sure, she was using the wrong statistics. It would be perfectly okay to reject that statement she was making because it was not legitimate. When asked or when confronted about using the wrong statistics, she continued to do it. Now, back in the 80s, the farmers had a lot of problems. In fact, they were going bankrupt. Farmers were losing their farms. It was a terrible time. Willie Nelson went out and started doing concerts called Live Aid or Farm Aid or something, and donating the money to the farmers, and other people were doing things for them, and finally the government moved in and saved the farmers. After things kind of leveled off, Congress had hearings about this crisis. And they had different people testifying about the plight of the farmer, how bad it was on the farms, what was going on these farms, what were the problems that the farmers were having to face, how were they trying to get over those problems. this committee had a witness named Jessica Lang. Now I know this is good because y'all don't know really who Jessica Lang is. She testified about the plight of the farmer. She gave a very compelling testimony. Let's just say that without me giving the statements made, she made a very, very good case that the farmers were in trouble. Okay? Now, after I look at what she said and I evaluate what statement she has made, what would be the next thing I would ask? What? Who's making it? All right, we know Jessica Lang is making it. What's the next thing I would ask? She was an actress that played a farm wife in one picture. And she testified as an expert witness on problems that the farmers have. Forgive me, but I think 3 or 4 real farm wives would be a lot better than one actress. Even one farm wife would know.
They live the life. They live the life.
They live the
It's
life, they don't
it's their
play
life
it in a
now.
film. And so, actually, now I have to question what was said because she really didn't have the authority to speak as an expert witness on the life of a farmer. Well, just remember, what is the statement being made? Who's making it? By what authority? Is the statement based on scientific observations or data? What do statistics or the information reveal? Is there a plausible alternative explanation for the statement or claim? We have a little over a month before the election. I implore you, some of the things that is being said, I know for a fact, are lies. I can't tell you what to do, but I can strongly urge you, before you vote, the things that matter to you about what the president is going to be or who the president's going to be and what he supports or what he opposes, find it out instead of just listening to what somebody says. The debate the other night was full of lies. Full of lies. And I'm not going to say which person, or which persons, because I'm not going to, I'm sure that there were misrepresentations on both sides, but there were some blatant lies on one side. And if you do your homework, you can find out who it was. Is there a plausible explanation for the statement? Yep. To be a critical thinker, you have to have a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. The process of assessing claims and making judgments on the basis of well-supported evidence is critical thinking. We need to develop critical thinking skills. We have gotten lazy. We want somebody to condense this information and tell us how to think. And we need to get back into thinking for ourselves. Because if you don't, you're going to be manipulated. You're going to be controlled. Think for yourselves. Examine your assumptions. Discern for hidden values. Evaluate the evidence. Then come to a conclusion. Now, I'm going to wrap it up with what I call the penny question. This is a great class. I like this class. This is a neat class. Let's say that I bought a lottery ticket and I was blessed and got $600 million. Well, I want it all. I don't want them to give it to me a little bit at a time. So that'll end up being probably around 400 million. I think I could scratch around with that. And then you're gonna have taxes, so that's gonna be 200 million. I still think I could get by. I like this class. So to celebrate, I'm going to come in and I'm going to say, I'm going to give you a choice. I'm going to give you $100,000 right now, or if you have patience, I'll take 1 penny and I'm going to double it every day for 30 days. So today I'm going to start out with 1 penny. Tomorrow it'll be 2 pennies. The next day it'll be 4 pennies. The day after that, 8 pennies, 16 pennies. So it's going to double every day. You have to choose. Which do you want? The $100,000 right now, or to wait 30 days and get the money from the pennies? What do you want to get?
Wait 30 days.
Okay, wait for 30 days.
Maybe 30 days.
Do what?
Maybe wait 30 days.
30, okay.
I was put it all Monday.
Do what?
Wait.
Wait? Wait? You take 100,000? All right. Wait.
I take 100,000.
All right. Now, 2 things. Why did you say the 100,000?
Wait, penny, I said.
I mean, the penny. Why did you say penny?
Because it's consistent.
Do what?
It's consistent.
It's consistent, okay. Why did you say?
I'll probably spend it all in one day.
Okay.
Probably.
Why did you say the penny?
Same as that, but probably spend it all.
Why did you say the penny?
To teach patient,
Do what?
to teach me patient.
Okay, keeps you patient. What about you?
So it's gonna end up being a lot more than $100,000.
How do you know that?
Well, I've seen this before, but.
The what?
I've
You've seen it before?
Yeah.
Okay, now, both sides, except for her, made quick decisions. You made fast decisions from your gut. You did not check the facts. You did not look to see. Nobody said, can I have a minute or two just to fix it, figure it out? Let me show you something. Day 1, you start out with a penny. Day 10, you got $5.12. Day 11, $10.24. But now by day 20, it's $5,000, $5,250. Okay. By 21, it's up to $10,000. By day 30, $5,368,709. Well, first of all, patience pays off. But the real thing is, when you make a fast decision without getting the facts, it is a roll of the dice. You were lucky, those who took the penny, because whether you suspected me or just figured that, whatever reason, you took a chance and you chose right. But there are fast decisions and there are good decisions. Fast decisions, you make a lot of errors. And sometimes those dice roll for you, sometimes they roll against you. Good decisions, you get the facts, and then you make your decision. Much, much better way. Either one will have consequences. But the chances are, if you get the facts first, the consequences will probably be more in your favor than not. Any questions? We have finished Unit 2. This was the last thing. I'm sorry, Unit 1. We have finished Unit 1. Y'all are looking at me, I said, I know that,
I was like, I'm so awkward.
yeah, I saw your eyes, and I thought, oh my gosh, what have I just said? We have finished Unit 1. Tuesday, we're going to begin Unit 2. How many have finished all of your quizzes on your chapters? One more to go?
I finished running.
Okay, how many have even attempted your Unit 1 test? Okay. I started telling y'all 2 weeks ago this day was coming. I don't want you to be penalized and be caught without doing your quizzes. I'll give you until Sunday. Sunday, it's gonna be locked down. Okay? So you've got quizzes, you've got assignments, and you have got a unit quiz that needs to be done by midnight on Sunday. Got it? All right, gang. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. Be safe. Keep it legal.